Hello all my JavaScript friends, this is TheVirtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and this is our Hold That Tower game. Just a quick little video. I am currently cleaning up the code in preparation of the last video, or the last two videos. I think there'll be two more videos here before we finish up this particular series, and I wanted to show you something that I did get finished. And that is that I've got the animations for one monster working completely, or one enemy. If you recall correctly, we had one enemy working with the animation, except that it always looked like it's coming from the left. So even though the enemy itself was coming from the right, the animation was as if it was coming from the left-hand side of the screen. Well, now I've got it to where it's coming from the left, the top, the right, or the bottom. So let's take a look at that. And then again, this is just one enemy I've got animation for. All the rest of them I'm still just using icons. So we can click on New Game. And there he is. He came from the bottom. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Now he came from the top, and there's one coming from the right. You can see it coming from the right. But notice also in the middle, when they hit the middle, they actually do an attack sequence too. They do two swipes with their clubs, I guess it is. And then that assumes that they are attacking the tower. Isn't that neat? Yeah, that's really neat, Mike. Yeah. But anyway, so one other thing that we do have here also is that not only do we have them coming in from the top, the left, the right, and the bottom, but they also die. I don't care about that guy. Here we go. Here comes a death from the top. There he goes. Yeah, here comes a death from the left. Yeah, he's dead. Death from the right. We're just missing death from the bottom now. Can we get a death from the bottom? Yep. Nope. No, that's the wrong icon. And see if we can get a death from the bottom. Come on, bottom. Yep, there's a bottom. Yeah, let's get death from the bottom. Bing! Isn't that cool? So it really worked out really nice to be able to get the enemies to be able to not only walk from the different directions, but also swipe their clubs from the different directions when they're attacking the tower and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's take a quick look at the code. It was very easy what happened, or what I did here. First of all, within the enemy type itself, we greatly expanded what we have done. Let me clear that also so you can see what's going on here. As before, we're still defining the shadow link here, and we're just defining a sprite URL. But what we have done here is that I've got a new section here called sprite images, and this assigns an images for if they're coming from the left, the right, the top, or the bottom. And this is new. Now, luckily, all of these images are exactly the same, so they just get loaded one time and we're all done. But each one also has a key for walk, attack, and death. And this represents the walking, the attacking of the tower, and the death sequence. What I used to have was just this, and it just basically did a walk. You know, it did the left, the right, and you know, it did the walking up from the left-hand side. But when they came from the right-hand side, they were still walking, look like they're walking left. But now I've got that left, right, top, and bottom, both with walk, attack, and death. And these icons, let me show you real quick what these icons look like. So here's the walking full icon. Let me get a little bit bigger. There we go. You can see it a little bit better on the screen here. So you can see this top here is coming in from the top. This is coming in from the bottom. This is coming in from the right, and this is coming in from the left. Same thing when they're doing the death sequence. We got the death sequence. They're coming from the top, and they die from the top. Now, what's interesting here is how they got green, and then it goes to yellow. It goes this, and it does that. I find that kind of weird. Right now I'm just taking it from, one side to the other. What I really need to do is to flip this thing around somehow and probably do, numbers 1 through 4 and then 8, 7, 6, 5, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. But right now I'm just doing it 1 through whatever the last number is, 8 there. And then finally attack full. Let's expand that. You can see here's the swishing of the attacks. Actually, it worked, and as you can tell, it looked out really, really nice. So we got both the up, the down, the left, and the right, and the left on here. So that's what the icons look like. And so I've got each one of these defined here with the start frame, the end frame, what the frame rate was, and whether it repeats or not. For instance, the walking repeats all the time. The attack repeats just one time, so you get 2 swipes, and the death just does it one time and one time only. So there is no repeat. And I've got that for right, left, top, bottom. And if we had all the rest of these, the frost whip, the thornling, and all that kind of stuff, we would have it for that too. So how does all this get generated? Well, the first thing we got to do is that when we generate the preload, it used to be that I just went through the little sprite sheet and just grabbed the images. Now I've got to go through both the sprite sheet and the left, right, up, or down. So that's why I got both direction and the sprite sheet. This is by the way just the old code. I commented that just for this video, and here's the new code. Same thing down here when we create the animations. It used to be we just did a quick little loop through the sprite data and set the key number, the frames, the frame rate, repeat, and all that kind of fun stuff. Now we have to go both direction and sprite data to be able to create the keys, and this will give us an animation name, basically saying the enemy name, whatever it is, underling, whatever, dash the sprite data, which would be which would be walk, attack, or death, the direction, which would be left, up, down, or right, and then animate. And that's all. And that's all there is to that. Not much there. The key now is that when we generate the enemy, we got to be able to tell it which direction it's coming from. We got to figure that out, and that's within the enemy group section. When we move the enemy is when the enemy gets placed upon the screen, and then he is told to go over to the tower. And I covered this in the enemy section there. But the new code here basically says, okay, I need to get the enemy position, because I have determined what the enemy position is going to be here, whether it's going to be off the top of the screen, off the left of the screen, off the right of the screen, or off the bottom of the screen. And then what I want to do here is I wanted to figure out what the XY here is and try to figure out what the location is going to be. So if my X number happens to be negative 100, I know he's coming in from the left. It happens to be negative 100 on the Y, I know he's coming from the top. If the X value happens to be greater than min width, I know he's coming from the right. Otherwise, the only thing left is from the bottom. And so then all I have to do is, instead of where I just said play walk, whatever, now I'm saying play animation walk dash location. So then when we go into the UI portion, we take a look at when we play the animation, we figure out what the animation is based upon now. Instead of just saying walk, we now say walk location. So let's take a look at that. And here in the play animation, it's real simple. All we have to do is that we sit there and say, if we got sprites and everything, we're going to do a play. We're going to do the play of the animation, which we just append the name, the animation name, and animate at the end. And then if there's a complete callback. So what is this complete callback? Basically, the idea behind the complete callback is that we're going to need to be able to do some information based upon when the particular animation has been completed, because one of the first things I want to be able to do here is that if I have told it to do a complete callback or some sort of function when it has completed, or if I do pass a function here, I'm going to call it once animation or once event handler saying, hey, when the animation is complete, call the complete callback. Otherwise, just flat out call the complete callback. Within the enemy group, that's no big deal, because this is moving the enemy, so I'm just walking, so I'm just repeating over and over again. I don't care when it's done, because I handle when it's done in other places. Let me show you where that is. And to handle the two other animations, when the attack occurs, or when the enemy attacks the tower, or when the missile hits the enemy, that's going to occur within the event system. For instance, we're here at the missile has hit the enemy, and if the hit points happens to be 0, we do a enemy destroyed event. So let's now go to the on enemy destroyed event. And here within the on enemy destroyed event, here's where we do the animation, because we're now playing the death animation. And we do passing a callback, because within the callback, then we got to make sure that the enemy disappears, we destroy the enemy, we drop the prize, and blah, 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 and all that kind of fun stuff like that. The other one that we're taking a look at is when we hit the tower. And let's take a look at that. That's an enemy reach tower. And again, we're doing the play animation here. We're doing the attack animation. And this time we're also giving it a callback. So when the animation completes, after it does this 2 swipes, we're going to disappear the enemy, get the ammo, figure out what the enemy's got, set all statistics, set a game over if the game is over, set the wave has ended if the wave has ended, and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's the reason that there's that callback function on the play animation, which is located somewhere there, which is located in the play animation. That's why we have the complete callback, is there's situations when doing the attack and when doing the death, I want to have events or things occur after the animation is complete. Otherwise, it just suddenly does it, and the monster disappears, the enemy disappears. So that's pretty much all there is to it. There's really not much. There's really not a whole lot left. And as you can tell, it works pretty darn good. I like it. You know, here comes the guy from the left-hand side. You can see the walking to the left works, and the attack to the left works. Here comes the walking from below. The attack below works. Here comes another left dude. I didn't kill him in time. Here comes an upper one. There goes a death to the left. There's a right one, and there's a right attack. There's a left death. There's an up death, and so on and so forth. So just like I said, a very quick video, which ended up not being a quick video, but it's a quick video nonetheless, showing you how we finally got one full complete animation completed. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to view more videos. Click on the like button on this video and visit us at TheVirtuoid.com. Also, support us on Patreon, where you can get access to member-only videos. Links are down below. Again, thank you very much for watching, and keep on coding.